Hey you guys, it's Crystal from the Abundantly Blessed Homestead. Today we're going to be talking about Mother Nature's multivitamin, liver, and how to get that into your family. I have a brand new way and it's been very successful with my children, so stick around. Okay, so I know what some of you guys are thinking. Did she just say liver? Yep, I said liver. Today we're going to be making raw liver chips. And I know that does not sound good to almost 99% of the people who are watching this video, but please just stay with me. Liver is so important, you guys. It is nature's multivitamin. And when I say that, I say, and what I'm meaning is that there's tons and tons of nutrients in there. There is a high amount of vitamin A. There's all of your B vitamins, especially high concentrations of vitamin B12. Also, it's high in C, D, E, and vitamin K. All of those are in a liver, okay? Also has trace minerals like zinc, magnesium, calcium, potassium. There's just tons of stuff in there, you guys. And that is why people have been consuming liver for thousands of years. It is an absolute powerhouse superfood on the planet, okay? So a couple of really important points. When you are buying your liver, you're going to want to make sure you're buying directly from a farmer who knows that that cow has been grass-fed, has not been fed anything that's genetically modified, and also has been out in the sunshine, because that's going to be the most nutrient-dense liver. When you try to consume liver that comes from animals that have been confined, they're standing in their own poo, they're being fed genetically modified grains, they're under a ton of stress. That liver is going to be extremely toxic to consume. So don't get me wrong, by no means consume something that has been in those sort of conditions. We want to be consuming the cleanest, happiest liver on the planet. So find your local farmer, buy a quarter of a cow if possible. If not, try to find the best, cleanest you can in the store. That's going to be really hard because you're not going to know what that animal ate because you don't know the farmer. And that's why the Weston A Price Foundation wants you to buy local, locally sourcing through your farmers what you're going to consume, because then you know the farmer and the farmer knows what that cow ate. So in a way, you know what the cow ate. And you have the right to ask questions about what the cow ate so you know what you're putting into your body. So another thing that I'm going to want to address is the raw aspect of these chips. Yes, they are raw. We're going to be dehydrating them at 110 degrees, which means technically that is still raw. Now, since the liver is grass-fed and it is organic, it is clean, people have been eating raw meat and raw organs for thousands of years with no problem. When you go to cook liver, a lot of times people have a tendency to overcook the liver, and it actually destroys a lot of the beneficial things that we're consuming it to achieve. So basically, if you're going to cook it in a skillet, you would want to only cook it till it's about medium rare. You still want it lots of pink with a little bit of juice coming out. And in this case, we're going to be removing all of those juices, and it's going to turn into a crunchy chip that we consume with salsa and find absolutely divine. At the end of this entire process, the raw liver actually tastes closer to the taste of one of those little rye seasoned chips out of a Gargetto's bag. And yes, I'm serious. It's delicious. And if you put it in salsa, there's nothing that hits your brain that says, wow, I'm eating raw liver at all. It just goes all the way down, and it's crunchy, and it's delicious. So let's get this started, you guys. I'm going to take you over to the counter behind me. I'm going to show you what I got. Okay, so typically the first step of this entire liver chip process is going to be thawing out your liver. This liver from the butcher was wrapped with plastic before they put it in the paper wrap. And so this is going to have to thaw out so I can remove this. This other one obviously doesn't have that. So I have 2 beef livers here, and I'm going to let these thaw out just until I can remove this wrapper, and then we'll begin the next step. Okay, so this liver has thawed out enough where I have removed the plastic that the butcher put on the liver, and obviously the wrapping, but it is still frozen. And this is the time to go ahead and take a knife, and we're going to chop this up. We're going to chop it up into strips, and then we're going to actually place it back into this container so that we can soak it in some milk, which kind of takes the tang of the liver out. So we're just going to simply go through, and it's so much easier to chop this while it's still partially frozen, you guys, because once it thaws out, it's just kind of a sloppy mess. So I'm just chopping it into strips. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it back into the plastic container. And then we'll add some milk. Chopping it now also makes it easier because we're going to end up adding it to a food processor to blend it on up into kind of like a slurry. And it blends a lot easier if it's in chunks and not a whole piece of liver, obviously. It's kind of interesting. These came from 2 different butchers. And obviously the second one is a whole liver. It's not sliced like the previous liver. So I'm actually going to go ahead and slice this one in half again. And stick it back into my container. It's definitely an arm workout to cut through this. Also, the butcher that did this particular liver here that did not chop it in half also did not wrap it in plastic, which I appreciate because sometimes it can be really, really tricky to get all that plastic out of there without completely thawing the liver. Okay, so this is all chopped. Put back into our plastic container here. I'm going to go wash my hands, and then we'll add some milk. Okay, so I've got my milk. It happens to be raw, just because that's what's best for you. So I'm going to go ahead and put just enough milk in here to cover the chunks of liver. You're essentially just like soaking this. And we're going to want to leave it soaking for at least an hour, and then we will strain it out, kind of do a quick rinse on the liver, and then go ahead and go to the next step. So this is going to go ahead and sit. It's still frozen, so I'm actually just going to leave it out on the countertop. I'll probably put a lid on it and just let it sit, and as the liver continues to thaw, it's also going to be soaking up the milk, okay? And then I'll bring you guys back when that's finished. Okay, so it's been actually about 2 hours. I kind of went on with my day and forgot about this. But it's still very, very, very cold. But the liver has thawed out, so I'm just going to take a chunk of liver here, and then I have a bowl of filtered water right here. I'm just going to dip it on in there real quick, and then into the food processor it goes. We're just going to end up doing all of the liver this way. Just a quick dip. Enough to remove some of that milk. If you don't get all the milk off, it is not a big deal. It is raw milk. And I actually had some cream because the milk tried to kind of freeze, so actually I had some clumps of cream on here because it froze. So I'm going to use my fingers to kind of wipe that off really quick. Into the food processor it goes. I already have my dehydrator in the background. It's already running at 110 degrees. I don't have the lid on yet. I forgot that important task. But we'll get it on once we get it loaded. This is definitely kind of the messier portion of this project because you are dripping kind of liver and milk water all over your countertop, but soaking it in the milk really does help take the bite of the liver taste out. And I have made these chips before without doing the step of soaking it in milk, and you can definitely taste the liver on the way down as you're swallowing. So soaking liver in milk, even when you go to saute the liver, really reduces the taste of the liver, that kind of, well, metallic taste almost. It helps to lessen that within the liver. So definitely the way to go. So we're just going to keep on going here. It's going into my Auto IQ professional food processor that I bought. It's a little bit more of an expensive food processor. You could use any food processor that you may have in your home. All of them should work to turn this liver into a puree. And that's the main goal, is just turning it into a puree. However, if you watch some of my other videos about how to make your own peanut butter, that sort of thing, you are going to want to invest a little bit more money into a nicer, more powerful food processor, because you will burn the other cheaper versions up trying to make stuff like peanut butter. Okay, we just have a few more pieces here. Okay, obviously the milk is going to go down the drain, unfortunately. I guess it could have also been the chicken, but I guess it went down the drain, so there you go. Not everybody has chickens. Looks like we're going to have somewhere close to about 6 cups of thawed out, pre-soaked beef liver. Okay. Clean off our countertop here. Okay, so I'm just simply going to put my lid on this food processor. And we are going to process this just for however long it takes to get the liver into a puree. Check on it here. Looks like it just needs a few more seconds, or maybe a minute. Still has a few clumps in it. Okay. So, as you guys can see, it kind of gets a light brown color there. We've got a nice puree going. So now we are going to go ahead and dump this onto our mats in our dehydrator. I'm going to go get myself a measuring cup to do this. Okay, so on to the silicone mats. These are just basically mats that you can buy for a dehydrator to make fruit leathers. So we're just going to kind of spread it. And obviously, you're not going to be able to get this perfect. You know, somewhere around 1/4 of an inch thick or less is what we're looking for. Depending on the thickness of your liver, will depend on how long it's going to take for this to dehydrate. But we're just going to smooth it out like this. And then I'll show you guys the next step. Okay. Now, you would obviously go ahead and take the rest of what's inside the food processor, and you would do the rest of the trays. But we're going to season this one first, so I can show you how to do that. We are going to go ahead and take paprika, just regular paprika. Although I guess you could try smoked if you want. I'm going to unplug that just for a second. And we're just going to sprinkle it over top of the raw liver. And then we are going to go ahead and do the same with some garlic granules. Gotta find a spoon. Bear with me. Like I said, we're just sprinkling, guys. We're not doing a whole bunch. Just a light sprinkle all over it. Obviously, if you do a whole bunch, it's going to taste really good. No problem. And then we just need some salt. This is pink Himalayan salt. Oh, you know what? I think I'll do sea salt. Just 1 second. I've been craving sea salt, so we'll just do a little sprinkle of sea salt. And that's exactly what you're going to do for every single tray in here. Then we will put the lid on, and then we will set the temperature to 110 degrees, and we'll wait for this to dry out. So I'll bring you guys back in just a little while. Okay, so I'm on the second tray. I've dumped my raw liver on. I'm just going to smooth this on out. We're trying to get a uniform thickness all the way around so that it dries at about the same time, okay? And depending on your particular sheet will depend on how much liver it takes to fill up your dehydrator. Now I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle with the paprika. Like I said, you can also use smoked paprika. We're going to do a sprinkling of sea salt. Okay, and we're going to do a sprinkling of garlic granules, or if you have garlic powder, that will also work. There we go. On to the next tray. Okay, same thing. I'm going to empty the liver onto the sheet. I bought these sheets on, these are silicone. I bought these on eBay, actually, but you can get them from like Bed Bath & Beyond. Any sort of kitchen store will have what they call fruit leather sheets, because people do the same process and use ground up fruit. So we're just spreading it around. Once again, like I said, you're trying to achieve the same thickness if possible. Pretty darn close. Okay. Sprinkle with paprika. Garlic salt. Okay, that's sea salt, and then garlic. My mind was on the garlic. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in my final sheet here. I'm going to fill this one up just a little bit more. Because I do have some more inside my blender. I might have some left over if you have extra leftover, because I only have 3 sheets, I think. I might go check to see if I have a 4th. There we go. Let's see. I have one more, but it's plastic, so I'm going to pass. Those plastic ones, the liver really seems to stick to them versus these nice silicone. So I have some extra here. I'm going to put this into the refrigerator. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. I'm going to grab the lid right now. And we are going to turn this on to 110 degrees. And we are going to let it go at least 12 hours. I'm going to check it tomorrow morning and see if it is dry. If it's dry, when you go to flex the sheet, it will crack. If it's still flexible, it's not dry all the way. So you're going to want to go ahead and keep your dehydrator going until when you flex that fruit sheet, the liver cracks. That's what we want. And so I'll bring you guys back when that happens. Okay, so it's been about 16 hours at 110 degrees. And as you can see, it's still running. And the liver has started lifting up off of the sheets. That's completely normal. And if I go to bend it, it does bend, but it's still kind of like a chewy consistency. We're almost there. It breaks, but as you can see, there's a couple of spots where you'd have to really pull to get it apart. So we're going to keep dehydrating this for probably another 3 to 4 hours, and then we're going to check it again. Okay, so we are right at 20 hours, and if I take a chip, it cracks. So this is done. We're looking for that dry, crisp kind of crack. So this is done, so I will go ahead and shut this off, and then I will move this into freezer bags, or just a Ziploc bag works as well. So I'm going to put it in a Ziploc bag and then store it at room temperature. We can eat these with salsa. It's absolutely delicious. One more thing that you can do in order to help speed this process along is once the liver starts peeling up off of the sheet, you can take and either take a knife or just tear it like I just did and put it into pieces and then simply move it onto a sheet that does not have the fruit leather insert. This allows more air to circulate faster around individual chunks, and it will result in a nice crispy chip, just like a tortilla chip, when moved onto a sheet like this. And so you can do that at any point during the dehydration after the liver has started to lift away from your fruit leather insert. Okay. If you liked this video, if you would consider subscribing, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm going to be bringing lots more videos on how to nourish your family. This is just one example. I hope you guys are brave enough to try it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.